There's a massive change going on in financial services at the moment. Some banks have grasped that understanding. Other banks are looking and saying, well, maybe it's not an area I want to get into at the moment. So there's a bit of conservatism in some ways, but I think from our side, we look at innovation, I think, just in a very different way. It's not about just new creations or coming up with new ideas or new thoughts. It's literally about what are the things that we need for our customers. What are the things that we can build, create, devise, work with other people to devise, to put in front of our customers? Our customers are demanding a new way to bank, and that's what we're trying to do with them. So a lot of our work is based on fintech and what we're seeing out there in different markets, but also the Irish market. A lot of it's based on working with startups and where the startups are getting their ideas from and how we can partner with them and engage with them. So that's really the approach we've taken, this very collaborative approach with other organisations in that. Really, first and foremost, I think what you're seeing is we're seeing a couple of factors that are changing what's going on in banking. First of all, we've had different profiles of customers, different types of customers. We always refer to as the rise of the digital native. So in essence, somebody who was born with the internet, somebody who knows, shares, engaged with the internet. You know, they've never used an encyclopedia. They don't expect to ring Google when they've lost an email. That type of concept. They're the types of customers that we're seeing coming through. They're the type of customers that we're trying to build a new product for. But also what we've got is, I suppose, the digital immigrant, which is somebody who wasn't born with the internet, like myself, who's learned the internet and is engaging with the internet as we go. And that's all age ranges. And it's really around helping them understand where our products are coming from, how to use our products, how to use our processes, but also providing them with other channels and alternatives. So for here in our Grand Canal branch, we've got an advice and device service. So there are people here on stand, people who can engage and give advice and support them, but also we've got the devices and also we've got a strong online offering. So there's a mix at the moment. I think we're at this kind of crossroads for banking at the moment. There is a mix. Where we look for from an innovation function is to really go far into the future and look for where those changes are coming from and how that's going to affect banking. And I think what we're starting to see is just some massive changes in banking. There is real disruption going on. One of the great examples I always refer to is crowdfunding. And the whole concept of peer-to-peer and what's going on in that space. As a model, it's massively attractive to businesses, to consumers, and to the digital native, because it's the way they interact today. That's what they expect from that type of service. So to look at something like crowdfunding and how a bank would engage in that model, how a bank plays in that model is extremely important. But also when you look further afield again into what's going on in the payment space. So we've got, the whole concept, we've seen it in the budget only yesterday, the whole concept of a push towards a cashless society. Again, multiple and massive changes in our organisation and across banking as well that need to be addressed. Startups are pivotal to what we do in many, many ways. It's not just one, they're a customer segment of ours, yeah, that's fine, that's one part of it. But in actual fact, they're hugely important to everything we do from an innovation perspective. So as a traditional bank, we want to provide loans, we want to take deposits, we want to work with businesses. Absolutely, that's core to what we do. So there's an understanding of that. But I think the second part is really around the startups themselves, the products that they provide, the businesses that they're building. They're hugely interesting to me as an innovation manager, because what I'm seeing is lean methodologies, strong understanding of what the customer is about, and actually being able to build and develop products that customers really want and want to get their hands on. So from that point of view, we work with and engage with startups. To date, we've actually purchased 4 products from Irish businesses that we're engaging and putting out to our customers. That's important to us. It's about finding those new innovations that we can put to our customers. We look further afield as well. We keep the mind open around any community where we can find these innovations for fintech. But it's really, really important that we engage with them. They also, in the final part of what they can do from any organisation's point of view, is by partnering with, by engaging with, by designing with startups, I think it creates just a new momentum in your culture. It brings it on faster, it brings it on in a new way that probably hasn't been there in the past. So it really supports a different way of thinking about our product development. Like any organisation, I think people are learning. There's an expertise. We've our own customer digital innovation function, but there are certain pockets of expertise, and then there are others that are helping on that journey and supporting our staff on that journey as well. So like any organisation, I think there's a path to go on there. What we are seeing though is as a banking model, Yes, there's the traditional, we want to provide lending, but then there's also the more, how do we actually work and partner with other models, and how do we to engage in that? So by what we do here with startups at the Workbench is we refer them into VCs for help and support. So we've got our own models with Delta and Kernel that we've been working with, and we help them and support them on that. Alternatively, we talk to them about advice on their business model and what that could look like and where they can go from there. So there's many different things that can be added to a startup. It's not just about the more traditional products that I think people think about. And some of the supports that we've put in play, they're really about that, those credible supports that startups need at the moment. We've got a workbench here in Dublin. We have another workbench in Galway. We've announced that we're going to open more around the country, so we've one coming in Cork, and we plan to have another one in Limerick as well. And that's really about giving them the space and the freedom to kind of experiment at these workbenches. Come in and talk to us about what they're doing, let us give them some help and support, let them connect to each other, create that ecosystem for themselves as well. And then on top of that, which we're really proud of, is the launch of our new StartLab in Galway. And StartLab really is just, it's a great place for startups to experiment. It's a 6-month program. We've launched the application process now out there on StartLab HQ. And the whole process will take us 6 months and really put in some strong supports for that business as they get incubated through that 6-month program, to be able to understand where they're going, to be able to understand their business models, their pitches, to be able to engage with some expertise from the bank as well, to get that help and that support as they develop through. So we've put a lot of supports into the startup community. We showed it all off at the startup gathering really, and that was a big moment for us to really show and say, there's a lot going on. There's a lot of really good stuff to support startups at the moment. We're part of that journey. We're part of that ecosystem as well. And the Startup Gathering was a great way to show that and exhibit that and get that story out about Irish startups.